I am Slick Nick, and I received a comment, which is not the normal stuff I typically do videos on, but I think it's worth tackling. I made a video called "The Reason I'm Getting So Fit and Losing Fat Right Now, Intermittent Fasting and Carb Backloading." So if you want to check out that video, what's funny is it was like a 10-minute video that I thought, will I even publish this? Sure, go ahead. I did, and it was pretty popular and people really responded to it. So there are sometimes I just shoot videos that I never post just because I'm like, I want to watch that. But that's the thing as a YouTuber, I never know what the free market is going to accept. Sometimes I make some really good videos that no one appreciates, and then a lot of times I make throwaway videos that phoned in, sort of concept, and people respond to it. So I was surprised that video did well. I'm grateful for that. Looking through one of the comments, this was from Marcus. He said, "Nick, do I have to study daily if I'm going to go to college?" He said he's going for a psychology degree. And my immediate response, I said, it depends on what you're going to college for. I have an English degree, so I didn't have to study that much. So I want to be very clear about something. I'm going to go back to the year 1989. I remember I was in second grade and we were doing math, and I hated doing math. And I remember spending the night with my friend Will. His mother was a second grade teacher, and I remember saying out loud, why do we have to learn all this math? We have calculators. If you can learn to use a calculator, what does it really matter? And it's funny because years later, decades later, I think that's truer than ever before. In fact, not just math, but you can pretty much look up anything on your phone now as opposed to a calculator and find out. So I think ultimately it comes down to learning modality. It comes to what you are really connected to as far as what you're good at. And that's something that I talk about openly in my videos on my list of things that makes men attractive, where on my list here, it says number 3, finds his identity in a unique skill set. He's aware of what he's good at. Sometimes the way you find out what you're good at is you find out what you're bad at, or just what you don't enjoy doing. So for me, I never enjoyed doing math or science, things like that. And ultimately, I loved creative writing. And it's funny because I had another person leave a comment recently as well, saying that they're shy. And it's funny because, again, if you look at the 1989 version of me as a kid, I was a shy kid. But around 1990, about 30 years ago, they needed a boy to be in a play. And so I fit the mold. So I had barely a speaking part in this one play. And then because I did that, I ended up another one. So every year of the 90s, I was in a play or two. And that helped me realize, well, it's not that I necessarily enjoy doing plays, but I guess I'm good at it apparently because I keep getting asked to do it. And that helped me really refine my skills on communication and things like that, which are largely the opposite of math and science and engineering. So I learned I like creative writing. I don't mind being in front of people speaking. And then even in college, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but I quickly realized all my dorm mates are complaining about doing term papers. That's the easy part of college. I can easily knock one of those out. It's pretty easy, and I get an A, and that's when I realized, well, I could be an English major. So yeah, I got my degree in English, which is funny because I didn't really know what I was going to do with that. But it turns out the first job I got out of college was recruiting, which is ultimately the sales division of HR, where I have a quota every month of a certain number of people I need to hire for jobs that need to be filled. So ultimately I am a salesman, and it goes back to that communication thing. So I kind of stumbled into this career, I'm very happy with my career. And of course, with those same skills, I'm able to make these videos. And as you all know, this is 10,000 subscribers that we're looking at on this channel at this point. And earns me about $500 a month in addition to what I already make for my full-time job. So I think for a lot of people, you just have to stumble into figuring out what you're going to go to college for and what you're going to do for a living. But to answer the immediate question, do you need to study? I guess, what do you imagine doing with your life? I mean, a psychology degree, and I'm not putting it down, I'm one of those people, go to college and get a degree. I'm one of those people that says that. But ultimately, psychology is one of those degrees that everybody has a psychology degree. It's unless you're really planning on becoming, a psychiatrist, if you get a 4-year degree in psychology, it's probably pretty similar to what I have, an English degree. It shows that you went to college. It shows that you have faced challenges and you understand how people think. But same thing with my English degree, though. Like, it's largely psychology, the way I look at it. So did I study a lot in high school? Let me just go back to high school. I was like an A student, A, B student in high school. I did graduate from college on the dean's list. I had very great scores in college, but by my junior and senior year, I was exclusively doing high-level English classes, which again is my specialty. So I naturally did well at that point because I wasn't doing any math or science classes. So figure out what you're bad at. That'll help you understand what you're good at. Practice those things, and you'll be able to be better at that. And it's funny because it even goes back to the other comment that I'd received from another viewer saying about how he is, he struggles with being shy, and basically he's asking me, how do I overcome that? And that's my advice, is that ultimately you have to practice these skills, and when you get an opportunity to do something out of your comfort zone, then you do it. And that's going to help you become better at that thing. I'm telling you, it's not a coincidence that I was bad at math and science. I had no interest in it. And then I ended up doing these plays. I ended up really focusing on creative writing. Here's the comment, I found it. The other video, which coincides with the same topic, did I get a hair transplant? Why I'm not a Norwood 4 yet. Our great friend Tobo from England had this to say, quote, little tip if you're scared of rejection, practice it. If you're at the shops, at the counter, ask if you can make an announcement, for instance. Any situation where you'll obviously be told no. Also, any advice for introverts trying to follow Nick's 10 commandments, which I love that he refers to it as that. And of course, these are the 10 commandments. These are the things that society actually judges you on whether they find you attractive or not. It's not your looks. When you're young and immature and insecure, that's what you think. But in reality, when you're mature and confident in yourself, you realize in reality, oh, these are the things that made me this way. I'm going to keep focusing on these 10 things. So he says, any advice for introverts trying to follow Nick's 10 commandments? I might struggle, not because I'm selfish, but because I really struggle with being around people for long periods of time. So making my life more about others will be a major challenge. To which I had responded, yeah, I'll do a video on that. And it comes down to that. It's funny, I have recently explained to one of my coworkers, when it comes down to it, I actually am an introvert. And most people won't believe that, but I am. The definition of an introvert is someone who feels exhausted after they've been around people for a bit, and they need to be energized to replenish that energy from having to be around people and deal with people. That's me. Whereas an extrovert is someone who feels drained until they're around people, and then they're suddenly energized. I happen to be a little bit of a paradox that I have an outgoing personality, but I happen to be an introvert. I know how to read people. I know how to communicate with people, but I don't need to be around people all the time. I'm the kind of person who feels very comfortable being by myself or not being around a lot of people. Even now, as we're working from home for a living, I love this. I never want to go back to an office. This is great. I'm happy just doing the video calls. So what I'm telling you is I've always been an introvert. It's just I learned how to become more sociable ultimately by putting myself in those positions. And again, for me, it was because I was in a play when I was in 3rd grade. And then I kept being in more plays. And it was funny because it's not necessarily that I was particularly good at it. There just wasn't as many guys wanting to be in a play. There was females, but not many males. So it gave me more opportunities to be in front of people and communicate. So yeah, that's ultimately what it comes down to it. I'm actually, and you don't have to believe me if you don't want to. You're like, Nick, there's no way that you're an introvert doing what you do for a living, being a salesman and what you do with these videos. But ultimately, and it's funny because I watched a video recently on Keanu Reeves talking about Charisma on Demand is the YouTube channel, talking about how he is actually an introvert, but how he pulls it off and makes it work for him, and people love him. But he ultimately is an introvert, and so am I. I'm not the kind of person who just demands attention and wants attention and needs attention, like Michael Scott in The Office. Instead, for me, I feel if I'm going to be talking and people are going to be paying attention to me, it needs to be something that ultimately is going to help them, which again goes to this list of what makes men attractive, and that's being valuable to other people by serving their needs. Your comments belong right here.